Hello everyone, I'm Brian. Today I'm bragging to 90% are unfit for Kriya Yoga. Humans will just peter out, said Guru Adiyogi. Although I did that was like, this is how human beings will end. I said, okay. Um, when I was thinking about like the end of times, well, there's actually could be multiple of them. The collapse of the universe, at least for humanity. Hopefully it's, well, I don't know, hopefully for anything, especially the end of human beings. But imagining two universes colliding, ours and theirs, and then you looking up, you see the planet that's going to crash into the earth. Man, I don't know, that's really kind of crazy to think about. But anyways, let's hear how what Sadhguru has to say.
What is somebody thinking about me? Nobody's thinking about you. They're busy with their own rough stuff. You think everybody's thinking about you through the day? Believe me, they're not. They got their own stuff going.
You think you're fit if you look trim and fit into a particular kind of thing. No, the very sinuses of life within you have become weak. I know this very well because I find it's almost impossible to initiate, I would say, among the people that I meet, there may be people in rural areas who are capable of this, but among the people who come to us, 90% of the people are unfit for any kind of strong Kriya Yoga because they don't have the body to do it. In 50 years' time, if we continue like this, the age at which human beings need life support may come down dramatically by 10-15 years than what it is right now. It's a very serious affair, very, very serious affair. It is the survival. Probably that is how we will decimate ourselves, not by bombs or fire or ice or whatever. Probably we just kind of peter out, that we won't have the strength to exist.
I mean, about the petering out part, I mean, it makes me think about AI and all these things where even in particular, one that's kind of crazy is the Japanese culture. At the moment, I believe their population is still in decline, and what they're doing, I mean, this is from what little research I've done, I don't know if it's still happening, is that you have people who isolate themselves, you have people who work essentially themselves to death. Now, I don't mean like working hard, I mean just they work until they die, basically. They become old or whatever. And they don't have families, and essentially what they do for relationships is that they just hire people for relationships. And then you see, what do you call it, like AI potentially being there for like kind of companions. I wouldn't doubt that. And then I'm sure you'll have AI robots that are in the house that will be there to talk to and comfort you and be what you want it to be. And it kind of goes similar to again, something that I've seen in the Japanese culture when I saw it was what is it? They hire people, and when they hire people, the people that they hire tell them whatever they want to hear. No confront, and this is the thing that one of the people said. I'm sorry, I'm really going into this, but it's the one that just very sticks out, and it's very specific to Japanese culture. In American culture, is something else different, but it's not quite the same as how I think things will turn out. But one of the people that hired someone to date, they said that it's a lot easier. There's no in a sense, there's just no struggle because whatever you say, they'll affirm it. Whatever that you want, they'll provide because that's what they're hired there for. So there's no struggle whatsoever in the relationship. And in that case, once we start having less babies or less relationships, and we start going to AI for these human comforts, then eventually, yeah, we'll just peter out.
Namaskaram, Sadhguru. I suffer from insomnia and anxiety. Do you have any tips on how I can sleep better?
There are lots of experts here, that even sitting here, they're falling asleep. We could consult them. Um, you just jump into the Thames and swim upriver for 2 hours, you will sleep well tonight. Yes, for sure, I'm telling. Now, for everything we have a name. These things are becoming like qualifications for people. I am an insomniac, I am an anorexic, I am this, I am that. I want you to say, I am just a mess up. Don't give it so many scientific names to it. Just say, I am just a mess up. Messed up my body or messed up my mind. One of these things. Yes or no? If you give it such high-sounding names, it'll become interesting to be one of these things. Don't do this to yourself. I have seen thousands and thousands of people who come with this kind of… These are not ailments. These are qualifications that you've taken on because the other qualifications that you have don't amount to much. I'm sorry I'm speaking like this, but I want you to know, these are all self-created things. You create a problem and you carry the problem on your head like a jewel. If you bring yourself to a certain balance, if you bring yourself to a certain ease with life, when body needs rest, it will sleep. What is there a big deal about? You must sleep, you must sleep. There's no such thing. If you put in enough activity, it will eat, isn't it? Yes, sir. Now, eating is a problem, sleeping is a problem. See, this has all become a big business, please understand. You must have problems to support the economy of the nation. That's one thing you're doing. The pharmaceutical industry, the medical industry, sickness industry is going on big time because everybody is carrying these things like they're some kind of crowns that they're wearing. You bring your system to a certain level of ease with involvement, nothing else. There's no treatment for this. A few doctors from United States came, they wanted to see the yogic hospital because they had seen the case histories, how people have recovered and everything. They came. After the third day in the ashram, people informed me at the ashram, Sadhguru, these doctors are very angry, they want to leave. I said, what happened? They're asking, where is the yogic hospital? Oh, then I got the point, okay. Then I met this group, said they were like this. Said, where is the hospital? So I said, your idea of a hospital is beds, people lying down on it, 10 people attending to them. That's not my idea for a hospital. I'll take you around, and I took them into the garden and into the fields and said, see, these are all patients who come for this ailment, that ailment, that ailment. I'm getting the best out of them. And you will see in 10-15 days, they will be doing fine. We have given them practices, they wake up at 4:30 in the morning, do 3 hours of sadhana, then do 2 hours of work, then eat one meal, then work, then eat. By the evening, they want to eat whatever is given to them. And night, they fall dead and wake up in the morning. And in 15-20 days, they're doing fine. Because there are some ailments which are infectious in nature. They come from outside. These are invasions from other organisms. We have to deal with it medically. Medicine is needed because something else has invaded our system. But over 70% of the ailments on the planet are self-created. Why would your body create an ailment for you? You're doing something wrong, isn't it? You're not able to sleep. What do you think is wrong? I want you to figure it, all of you. If you're not able to sleep, what do you think is wrong? One thing is maybe lack of physical activity, most probably that's a thing. Another thing is, your mind is in a mental diarrhea. Once it is going like this, what goes on, we have no control. Fear will happen, anxiety will happen, disturbances will happen. And your involvement with the world is gossipy. You're not involved as life. You're involved as a social person, understand? Your society is only a consequence. It is not the basis of your life. Yes or no? Existence is the basis. Society is just a consequence. We could have lived in the jungle. It would be too difficult to organize everything for each individual, so we decided we will live in London. That's all. It's only a consequence of a certain pursuit. It is not the basis of your existence. Right now, society has become the basis of your existence. So you cannot sleep because everybody is running through your mind. You just have to get this back to its natural orientation. Shambhavi Mahamudra is a simple process in that direction. If you need a stronger dose, we can do that. But this will be good enough, you will sleep well. But today you must walk home, however far it is. Okay? Just pull up your boots and just walk. Oh, but it'll be 2 a.m. when I reach. It's all right, but you'll sleep. Time you do something. You don't do the fundamentals right and you're trying to fix the surface, it's not going to work. Just…
Oops. I mean, it seems like he's just saying, and to a lot of degrees, getting back to nature. Because we get so involved in society and technology that we are messing up what is natural in our lives. Like how we normally are, generally speaking, active outside doing something, planting or whatever it may be. And we usually work ourselves to exhaustion. And that usually by the time we're nighttime hits, want to go to sleep, eat. But now, society in a lot of sense has made a lot of things easier, and perhaps our body hasn't quite adjusted to that. So like he was saying about the girl earlier, it's just swim up the river for 2 hours, you'll feel tired. Or like right now where he said, just walk home, exhaust your body. And that is, I guess, something that a lot of people in society aren't doing because a lot of the jobs are fairly easy. There's still plenty of hard jobs out there for sure. I guess those people may not have issues, with sleeping. Now, of course, there are going to be some rare cases where even after doing a lot of extreme things, they're super tired but not sleeping. It's weird to say. The best example I could give is if you're hungry, you just drink like a gallon of water. Like drink lots of water until your stomach is full. Your stomach will be full, but you will still be hungry as well. You're not really filling up your stomach with something that it needs. You're just filling it up with filling it up. So, and that might be the same reason for people who do exhaust themselves, but for some odd reason sleepiness doesn't occur. There are people out there who has done nothing and still feel sleepy, so so obviously I wonder if that's more of the case now, where they're just the bored sleepy, I guess.
Join the local football team. You will sleep well. People who are working physically, manually on the street, you just see, they'll sit on a truck and sleep off. It doesn't matter how cold it is, how rough it is. Have you seen that? Because they put in enough activity. And you are not a social being as society is trying to sell it to you. You are a human being. Society is a consequence. We can live in society or we can live out of society. You can live with it or without it. It is only a convenience. It is not the source of your existence. Right now, society, you're treating psychologically as if it's the source of your existence. What somebody says about you, what somebody thinks about you, you're concerned about all this. What is somebody thinking about me? Nobody's thinking about you. They're busy with their own rough stuff. You think everybody's thinking about you through the day? Believe me, they're not. They got their own stuff going. When you close your doors, if you can leave London out and only you go to bed, you will sleep. You want to sleep with London. It doesn't work. I'm going at this way because people are constantly inventing problems for themselves. Anything that happened to you as an ailment without an external influence is your making. Yes or no? Is it okay? It's your making. It doesn't matter what it is. If it's your making, we have to look, why are you making up these things? Simple tips you want, no tips. One tip is you must walk home today. You will sleep for sure. Do Shambhavi every day, twice a day, you will sleep.
Oh, definitely. It's not because our genes have become weak, we have become weak. Because we have become weak, the next generation will be weaker, unless they really strive.
You know, this is something very interesting. I know in America that there are certain like very tough people that say that our generation's becoming weak. Obviously I should let him finish, but I just had to cut it here because this is something that I also kind of have an issue with. And what I mean by weak, I don't necessarily mean weak by physical, but although we are becoming that as well, but that's something that can be fixed by, working out. And I mean, most things can be fixed for sure, but it depends on how society is being pushed. So, for example, we no longer need to plow the fields. We have machines for that. We no longer need to carry things. We have cranes or devices that can do that. And don't get me wrong, it still requires a lot of strength to do certain things in construction or any kind of heavy lifting field, although we're not lifting as heavy or as much anymore. But still requires muscle, because you don't need as many people anymore because things can be carried for you, but you still need people with strengths to construct and build stuff. But the other issue that I have that I think is more important is a state of mind, emotional strength, or whatever you want to call it. Mental strength, emotional strength, both of those. Because we are getting so easily offended by things that used to be just kind of a joke. That used to be, you can just say it jokingly and not really mean it. How do I say? I don't know. It's hard to describe, but there's just more and more people out there just getting more and more offended by things that are not really that serious, and things that are just meant to be kind of poked fun of, but not really taken seriously. And there are things that we obviously make fun of that are kind of bad, but it's more of a pointing out the ridiculous nature of humanity, or to lighten a situation that's kind of, bad or dire, just as a coping mechanism as well. We understand that jokes, there's going to be always some truth to it, because fact is stranger than fiction sometimes. But yeah, we say it, we laugh at it because for most of us, we've gone through it. We joke around of this terrible situation because we just know how bad it is that we want to laugh at it. Again, the ridiculous nature of certain things you just want to laugh at because it's so stupid, it's so dumb, that you just have to laugh at it. You can't let it bring you down, so you laugh at it. It's a coping mechanism, but everyone's a little bit different. But yeah, it seems like today there's just more and more offensive things out there than there used to be in the past.
There is substantial scientific evidence to show within a single generation the genetic structure of a particular family or whatever can deteriorate. There is enough evidence to show that. Of course, it can always be revived, but will revival happen, is the question. When you're going to have an electric car to drive from your sitting room to bedroom, or you drive your bed wherever you go to the office, it may happen. Maybe you drive in your bed to your office and work there and sleep there, and because everything is touch of button, or touching buttons also will go away. Probably if you verbally say it, everything will get typed and all the work gets done.
Eventually you just have to think about it.
You don't have to use either your body or your brains in any great length. Definitely in a single generation we can fall dramatically. I think it's happening at an alarming rate. If you look at the children today, simple things that all kids would be capable of when we were growing up, today is like circus for a whole lot of children. Only very athletic ones can do it. I was speaking to a group of very elite group in Chennai. Today, these young couples and others who are very well-to-do and in industry and things, they all pride themselves that they are all doing fitness, they're walking on the treadmill, some of them are cycling, and of course all the ladies wearing zero size whatever stuff. They think they're fit. So I asked them a simple question, suppose all you guys are walking on the street, if a tiger came or a flood came or something happened, how many of you can just climb this tree and save your life? How many of you can do this? Only the menial laborers, those who are doing laborer's job on the street, somebody who's building the road or somebody who's digging a hole somewhere, only that guy will save himself, none of you will be able to climb a tree. They said, yes. Then that means what? This is not fitness, you can only walk on treadmill and wear zero size by eating only salads. If you eat anything more, you'll have indigestion. This is not fitness. You think you're fit if you look trim and fit into a particular kind of thing. No. The very sinuses of life within you have become weak. I know this very well because I find it's almost impossible to initiate, I would say, among the people that I meet, there may be people in rural areas who are capable of this, but among the people who come to us, 90% of the people are unfit for any kind of strong Kriya Yoga because they don't have the body to do it. They may have the wish to do it, but they don't have the body to do it. Their fundamental physical structure, they may look okay, they may look reasonably fit, they can walk, they can do things, but they're not fundamentally strong within themselves. The basic structure is not very strong. That weakening is happening dramatically, and as these technologies make you do less and less, both in body and brain, I think it's a very serious affair, very, very serious affair. It is the survival. Probably that is how we will decimate ourselves, not by bombs or fire or ice or whatever. Probably we just kind of peter out, that we won't have the strength to exist by ourselves. And I don't know. Right now I know a whole lot of people beyond 80, 85 are on kind of different types of life support. This need for life support, the age at which life support is needed, I'm just thinking, I don't have all the facts on this, but I'm thinking in 50 years' time, if we continue like this, the age at which human beings need life support may come down dramatically by 10-15 years than what it is right now.
Okay, that makes better sense now, hearing what he had to say prior, because he said it's really like life support by 10 to 15 years. What do you mean? But yeah, I mean, we are living longer lives, but what kind of lives do we have towards the end of our years if we're just sitting in the bed, just dragging it out? And it makes me think, like, when he says life support, does he literally mean legitimately life support? Or does he mean like, you laying in bed, you're not on any kind of, breathing apparatus or anything like that, but in a sense you're just holding out for life just for the sake of holding out for life. That, in a lot of people's views, can be life support as well. Like, even pill drugs are sometimes could be a way of assuming life support, because without those pill drugs or whatever, you could die because you have high blood pressure or whatever it may be. Those are forms, you could say in a lot of sense, those are a form of life support. Just because because of what Sadhguru is pointing out here is the fact that we're not taking care of ourselves. So we're making our bodies worse, and then we're using life support. I don't know if he means it legitimately like that, but I'm taking how I see it and how I'm seeing the world as well. We're taking life support, meaning either pills to lower our blood pressure so that we can live longer, or we're getting bedridden and having, again, drugs or whatever it is injected into us to make us live longer, a life support. And then, even though I think Americans, or at least men in America, live up to age, I think 86, 87, he's saying that will drop, well, the life support portion of it. So if they're taking drugs now at, say, 70 to live up to 16 more years, maybe around 60 is when they'll start doing it to live up maybe up to 76 or 77. I mean, it's not wrong if our lives are getting so much easier, but we are not adapting to it to better our own lives. I forgot what the Guru said, our essence, our being.
And that is serious weakening of human structure. And the next generation that generation reproduces will definitely inherit that. And the genetic structure, if it weakens over a period of time, it's definitely of concern. So one of the things that we need to do, the reason when we set up the yoga center in America, we set up a 1,300-acre ashram. Everybody said, this is crazy, Sadhguru, we must buy 25 acres next to Atlanta and do the ashram. I said, the purpose of the ashram is not just to have a center and meditate and whatever, it's to regenerate life. I'm not just saying one ashram is going to save this, but it is needed in many, many places. This needs to happen, that we have to go back to the land, we have to live with the 5 elements, we have to be exposed to the earth, we have to be exposed to the sky, to the rain. These things need to happen without being in communication with all the 5 elements, without being in communion with all the forces of life. All the forces of life are not just within your body, it's just all over the place. Without rapport with it, without confronting it, without every day being in touch with it, life doesn't happen strong. We need to live strong. That is the purpose of yoga, not just being frail and eating vegetables and closing your eyes, that's not just that.
Question that has come through the Facebook from Doug Brister. He asks, how do you see GMOs? Are they part of the reality unfolding, or are they a spiritually corrupt food that has been driven by man to feed the body and line pockets, rather than food that feeds the soul? What are your thoughts on this?
I think there's a whole lot of corruption in the question, whoever dug from wherever. First, let's understand, food does not feed the soul, food feeds the body. Let's not complicate things. Like people are talking about soulmates and stuff. Body needs a mate, understandable. Mind needs a mate to some extent. The soul, if it needs a mate, it's a lost thing, it's not a practical thing. So, soul does not need food, it's not… First of all, you don't know what it is. You just use the word because everybody is using it. Anyway, GMO, I think meddling with nature at that level is quite irresponsible. These are purely commercial forces, definitely not concerned with long-term well-being of the human beings. We should have never allowed it into this country. I believe the new government is not going to go that way, in India at least.
Oh. I don't know. I mean, GMO, it all depends, much like any kind of technology, it all depends on who's doing it. GMO is… geez… could be seen as a form of speeding up evolution, maybe slightly unnatural, but it could end up being for the benefit. Could. I'm not saying it is. Because they are… if I heard correctly whenever I was watching… I can't remember what it is, a video a long time ago where they created crops that can survive droughts that would last longer than a typical whatever the equivalent plant is. So you say tomato plant and another tomato plant. One's GMO and one's not. And then I think some companies sent it over to a country that was having trouble with drought. And it would help. I mean, they're kind of starving because of the drought. They can't produce enough fruits or vegetables or food. And they could have used that to, at least for the time being, feed their populace. Because the GMO plant is capable of surviving through longer periods of drought than the non-GMO ones. But again, I don't know too much about GMO. I know there can be some bad things. Again, it's much like any other tool. If you do GMO properly, or you make the plant healthy, more nutritious, and survive and produce more fruit, that's great. We can feed the planet. But if you temper it in some way that actually has some negative consequences to it, so like maybe higher producing cancerous cells if you eat it, or things that destroy the land, then yeah, that's going to be a negative thing. So I don't really have necessarily. I think I have more of a positive in a GMO than negative. But I don't really know too much about it, other than the fact that I know in America there are corporations out there that have a copyright to their genetically modified plants. I was against it at one point, where so again, video over with me talking about stuff, especially GMO, which has nothing to do with this video. Well, kinda, except towards the end there. But where they sold the seeds to a farmer, and the farmer gathered the crops and everything, but the company would go there and burn any of the fields that got contaminated by their plants. Obviously plants are going to spread their seeds and all that naturally, but because they don't want the GMO plant to spread, or to have anyone else use their plant because they own the copyright to it. I don't know what the right word, trademark, copyright, it's really weird to say that about a plant. That they'll burn it. They'll burn and they'll collect all the seeds. Whenever they harvest the plant, or if there's on the ground, they'll just burn it so that it won't germinate anywhere else. So you could say that one's a positive thing when they burn it all, that it doesn't intermix with nature. There's a low chance it's going to happen, but there's a very low chance of it happening. So the GMO plant stays within the farm and doesn't get mixed out into nature. You could look at it as a positive. I saw it as a negative initially, because why are you doing that? You're just destroying, plants. This wasn't too long ago, maybe within 5 to 10 years, I guess. And then that they go and, go to the farmer and take his seeds. I'm like, why are they doing that? It's like, well, they own the copyright. I don't know what the right word is, but they own the rights to the genetic seed. And I kind of get it there too, because they spent a lot. Like, when you look at products, sometimes it takes billions of dollars and many years for them to develop something, and they have to protect their intellectual property. Much like if you create something, then all of a sudden someone just copies it. Like, you start producing, you have the copyright to it, and someone starts copying it exactly the same, and they sell it for a lot cheaper price just because they didn't have to do any research on it. You did all the hard work. You spent 10 years of your life and millions of your money, your houses and mortgage, and now that you finally developed the product to be perfect, someone just comes in, that looks cool, I will copy it now, and I'll make all the profit of it. I'll sell it for cheaper because I didn't have to do the research. When I look at it that way, it's like, it starts to make sense a bit. Now, there is, of course, how much profit you make. At the same time, it's all depending on the people whether they want to buy it or not. So it's very complicated. I have hopes for GMO products, obviously for the good of people if possible. And it's really strange. God, I am on a tangent of just GMO right now. Just bringing back all the memories of me watching GMO versus, non-GMO product. I think they did a blind taste test, and they said that the GMO tasted better than the non-GMO. I'm just wondering if people are just so used to GMO tasting that the regular tomato or whatever it is just doesn't taste quite the same or quite natural because it's not what they first tried. So yeah. Anyways, I went way off in a tangent there. If you like my content, please consider subscribing, thumbs up, thumbs down below. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next vid.